Welcome to Warriors of the World. Today, we delve into the lives of the Cossacks, those legendary horsemen of the vast Eurasian steppes. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine an endless horizon where the sky seems to touch the earth in an eternal dance. There, you hear the sound of hooves striking the dry ground and the wind carrying the cries of daring warriors, dressed in colorful cloaks and armed with gleaming sabers. This is the world of the Cossacks, a people who lived and fought under the banner of freedom. These men and women were much more than warriors. They were symbols of resilience and independence. Their lives were intertwined with the lands they defended and the communities they built. In an era when empires expanded and borders were forged with blood and iron, the Cossacks emerged as a fascinating paradox. Fierce fighters yet cultivators of democracy within their communities. What made these horsemen so special? Was it their unique ability to ride as one with their horses? Or perhaps their capacity to endure the harsh conditions of the steppes, where freedom was won through courage? Every Cossack was a defender of their land, a protector of their culture, and a symbol of an independence that many could only dream of. Today, we'll dive deep into this universe, from their roots in the Eurasian steppes to the epic battles that define their existence. Get ready to learn about one of the most intriguing warrior classes in history as we uncover the beating heart of Cossack life and what made them so unforgettable. How about hopping on your imaginary horse and riding with us on this journey? The vast steppes await. The origins of the Cossacks are shrouded in a mix of history and legend. To understand them, we must travel back to the heart of the vast Eurasian steppes, a land where the sky seems limitless and survival has always depended on courage and adaptability. Here, between the Black Sea and the Don and Dnieper rivers, arose a people who were neither entirely nomadic nor completely sedentary. The word Cossack derives from the Turkic Kazakh, meaning free man, and this freedom was at the core of their existence. In the 15th and 16th centuries, the frontiers of what we now know as Ukraine and Russia were no man's land, constantly threatened by invaders such as the Crimean Tatars and Ottomans. It was in this power vacuum that the Cossacks emerged, organizing themselves into autonomous communities that defied the authority of surrounding empires. These early Cossacks had no kings or feudal lords. They were renegades, fugitives, or men seeking a life unbound by restrictions. Farmers, hunters, and warriors, they banded together out of the necessity to survive in dangerous lands and the rejection of imposed orders from above. Living between two worlds, Orthodox Christian and Muslim, they absorbed the best of both, creating a unique culture forged through adversity and diversity. Their earliest bases, known as sitches, were makeshift fortresses along the banks of great rivers. There, they planned raids against invaders and defended their communities. But more than just a people of war, they were men and women deeply connected to the steppes, living in harmony with nature and respecting the dangers it presented. What began as small resistance groups grew into a force capable of shaping the course of history in Eastern Europe. Imagine a society without kings, lords, or significant inequalities. That was the world of the Cossacks. Their sitches were more than just fortresses. They were the heart of their social organization, rooted in equality and fraternity. Every Cossack had a voice, and all major decisions were made collectively in assemblies known as Rada. It was a democracy in an era and place dominated by the absolute power of monarchs. The Cossacks were divided into communities called hosts, organized around a territory or river, such as the famous Don and Zaporizhia hosts. Each host had its ataman, a leader elected by his peers, who could be replaced if he failed to perform his duties adequately. This structure ensured that decisions always prioritized the collective good, maintaining a sense of unity even in times of great adversity. Life in the sitches was governed by a strict code of ethics. Cossacks were trained from a young age to be warriors, but they also valued loyalty and respect for their community. There was no room for cowardice or betrayal. It was a society that blended the best ideals of freedom with the discipline necessary to survive in a hostile environment. Women, though less involved in military activities, played essential roles by tending to the land and preserving cultural traditions. Dance, music, and poetry were integral to daily Cossack life, creating a strong identity that endured even in the darkest moments. This combination of equality, freedom, and discipline shaped a people who, though small in number, were capable of challenging empires and inspiring generations. The Cossacks proved that a united society with clear values could withstand even the greatest challenges. It was more than just a way of life. It was a philosophy of resistance. When the enemy saw the horizon fill with dust and heard the sound of horses echoing, they knew the Cossacks were coming. These warriors not only fought with skill but transformed the battlefield into an extension of their home. Their tactics were unpredictable, fast, and deadly, traits that made them feared by all the armies they faced. The foundation of their power lay in their mastery of horseback riding. For the Cossacks, the horse was more than a means of transportation. It was an inseparable partner. Their steeds were carefully chosen for endurance and speed, adapted to the terrain of the steppes. The Cossacks could perform impressive maneuvers, such as shooting arrows or bullets while riding at full speed, twisting their bodies almost completely to the side. As for their weaponry, the shashka, a type of curved saber, was their trademark. Agile and lethal, it allowed for quick and precise strikes essential for close combat. They also carried pistols, lances, and bows. Their armor was lightweight, often consisting of reinforced leather or chainmail, so as not to compromise their agility. What truly defined the Cossacks, however, was their mindset for warfare. Inspired by both their culture and the necessity for survival, they mastered the art of asymmetric warfare. They conducted ambushes, lightning raids, and retreat strategies that baffled their enemies. They would strike quickly, sow chaos, and vanish before reinforcements could respond. Their greatest skill, however, was adaptability. When faced with better-armed enemies, they used the terrain for ambushes. When outnumbered, they split their forces to attack at multiple points. This flexibility made them unpredictable and nearly impossible to defeat in open territory. Born warriors of the steppes, the Cossacks were a perfect example of how intelligence and strategy could overcome superior numbers and equipment. The Cossacks were not merely survivors, they were conquerors. Their history is marked by epic feats that challenged the greatest powers of their time. From daring raids against the Ottoman Empire to their contributions in the wars of the Russian Empire, the Cossacks demonstrated an extraordinary ability to turn small groups into devastating forces. One of the most remarkable episodes in their history was the Siege of Azov, an Ottoman fortress. In the early 17th century, the Zaporozhian Cossacks, weary of Ottoman incursions into their lands, decided to capture the fortress on their own. Without the support of a large army but driven by unwavering determination, they attacked by land and sea, using light boats known as chaikas. These swift and agile vessels allowed the Cossacks to navigate rivers and seas, taking their enemies by surprise. Another pivotal moment was their involvement in the Khmelnytsky uprising in the mid-17th century. Under the leadership of Bogdan Khmelnytsky, the Cossacks fought to liberate Ukraine from Polish domination. Despite significant challenges, their efforts were instrumental in establishing a treaty that shifted the balance of power in the region, bringing the Cossacks closer to the Russian Empire. But not all their victories came with allies. On many occasions, the Cossacks fought alone, conducting daring raids and expanding their territories. A notable example was their resistance against the Crimean Tatars, whose raids enslaved thousands in Eastern Europe. With their swift attacks and mastery of open terrain, the Cossacks became a crucial line of defense for the region's populations. Each Cossack victory was not just a display of military might, but also of their indomitable spirit. These warriors repeatedly proved that freedom was worth fighting for, no matter the cost. Their triumphs echo through history as a reminder that courage and determination can alter the course of events, even under the most adverse conditions. The beliefs of the Cossacks were deeply rooted in their faith and traditions. Most of them adhered to Orthodox Christianity, but their religious practice was uniquely shaped by their life on the steppes. For the Cossacks, faith was not just a ritual. It was a source of strength, a moral compass, and a bond with their community. Cossack life was filled with religious symbols. Before battle, for instance, it was customary for warriors to gather in prayer, seeking divine protection and the strength to face their enemies. They often carried sacred icons, such as small paintings of saints, treated as talismans of protection. The churches in their sitches were simple yet vibrant, reflecting the central role of faith in their lives. Their religiosity extended beyond warfare. The Cossacks had a profound respect for the cycles of nature, which influenced their agricultural practices and celebrations. Religious festivities, such as Easter, were marked by grand communal feasts where music and dance played vital roles. These traditions strengthened the bonds among community members and were moments of unity and joy. In addition, the Cossacks were custodians of a rich folklore. Tales of legendary heroes, epic battles, and supernatural creatures were passed down through generations, reinforcing the cultural identity of the people. They viewed the world through a lens that blended reality and myth, where stories held the power to inspire courage and hope. This combination of religious faith and cultural traditions created a resilient people capable of facing the harshest challenges without losing their sense of community and purpose. The Cossacks believed they were protected by something greater, and this belief guided all their actions, from the battlefield to their daily lives. Despite being known as ruthless warriors, the Cossacks led rich and varied daily lives, marked by a strong sense of community and tradition. Their everyday existence was a balance between military discipline and the simple pleasures of life on the steppes. A Cossack's mornings typically began early. Those living in sitches spent their time on military training, weapon maintenance, and horse care. Horseback riding was almost a daily ritual, as the horse was central to the Cossack identity. Beyond their military context, many Cossacks worked in agriculture, cultivating wheat, barley, and other grains to sustain their communities. Family played an essential role, particularly for Cossacks who lived outside military bases. They deeply valued familial bonds, and their homes were often adorned with colorful embroidery and religious symbols, showcasing their connection to culture and faith. Women were seen as the pillars of the household, managing domestic tasks and passing traditions to the next generation. Festivals were vibrant moments of communal celebration. The sound of banduras, traditional musical instruments, and the rapid steps of Cossack dances filled the air with joy. During these gatherings, heroic tales, often exaggerated, were recounted to inspire younger generations. Food, rich in flavor and made with local ingredients, was served abundantly, and horilka, a traditional alcoholic beverage, was a staple. Amid these celebrations, discipline was ever present. Every Cossack knew they could be called at any moment to protect their community or join a campaign. This constant sense of duty shaped their mindset, ensuring they were always prepared. This duality, between the rigor of their military life and the joy of their family and festive moments, made the Cossacks truly unique. They knew how to savor peace yet never let their guard down, always ready to defend their freedom and loved ones. The relationship between the Cossacks and the Russian Empire was a roller coaster of loyalties, achievements, and betrayals. Initially, the Cossacks were strategic allies of the empire, serving as an elite force to protect its borders and expand its territories. In return, they were granted privileges, such as autonomy in their lands and exemption from taxes. In the 17th century, the Zaporozhian Cossacks played a critical role in consolidating Russian power by helping expel the Poles from Ukraine. As a reward, they were formally integrated into the empire without losing their independent spirit. Many of the famed Cossack hosts, such as those of the Don and Kuban, became official military units, pivotal in Russia's southern and eastern expansions. However, this alliance was not always harmonious. The Cossacks had a strong sense of autonomy and resisted external interference. This tension led to episodes such as the Stenka-Razin rebellion in the 17th century, where the Don Cossacks revolted against the Tsar's repressive policies. Another significant uprising was led by Yemelian Pugachev in the 18th century, rallying Cossacks and peasants in an attempt to overthrow the nobility. As the Russian Empire became more centralized, Cossack freedoms were gradually eroded. In the 19th century, military modernization reforms transformed the Cossacks into a force subordinated to the state, stripping them of much of their autonomy. Despite this, they continued to symbolize resistance and independence, even within the oppressive regime that co-opted them. The figure of the Cossack transcends history. More than just warriors, they became icons of freedom, adventure, and loyalty. Their image has been romantically portrayed in songs, dances, and literary works, capturing the rebellious and fearless spirit of the steppes. A fascinating curiosity is the use of their famous chaikas, light and agile boats used by Zaporozhian Cossacks to navigate rivers and seas, surprising enemies even along Ottoman coasts. These seemingly simple vessels were so effective that many enemy fleets feared their approach. Another striking feature was the distinctive Cossack aesthetic. The shaved topknot, known as oseldets, worn by many Zaporozhian Cossacks, became a symbol of pride and tradition. They also cherished their clothing, often decorated with embroidery that not only displayed their culture but also identified clans and regions. The myth of the Cossacks also influenced art. Writers like Nikolai Gogol depicted their adventures in works such as Taras Bulba, while epic paintings like the reply of the Zaporozhian Cossacks to the Sultan of Turkey by Ilya Repin immortalized their bravery and sharp wit. In cinema, Cossacks are portrayed as tragic heroes, figures whose freedom is a constant struggle against greater forces. Even today, Cossacks inspire cultural and political movements in Ukraine, Russia, and other regional countries as symbols of national identity and resistance. Their blend of reality and legend continues to captivate and inspire. What do the Cossacks represent in the modern world? They stand as a living reminder that freedom is an ongoing struggle and that cultural identity is one of a people's most precious treasures. Even as centuries pass, their influence can still be seen in preserved traditions, retold legends, and the way modern societies value independence. Today, Cossack movements are resurging in parts of Russia and Ukraine, keeping their dances, music, and even military training alive. While some modern Cossack groups focus on preserving culture, others engage in political matters, often claiming the role of guardians of traditions and their nation's borders. But the Cossacks are remembered for more than just their achievements or customs. They spark a profound reflection. How far are we willing to go to protect what we believe to be essential? Their values of loyalty, courage, and autonomy remain inspiring, but they also raise questions about the cost of freedom and the weight of choices made in its name. As we conclude our journey through the steppes, we leave a question lingering. Were the Cossacks merely warriors of a bygone era, or do they represent something timeless that lives on in everyone who fights for freedom? Did you enjoy the story of the Cossack soldiers? Don't forget to activate the bell to follow our videos and discover more about the warrior classes that shaped the world. And, if you want to support our work even further, become a member of the channel and help keep alive this quest for the stories that continue to inspire us. See you on the next journey in our history here at Warriors of the World.